Honoring Black History, Inspiring the Future, presented by MJ the Musical. It started with a simple purpose: celebrate and educate.
I want to make sure that I tell this story to the world.
But celebration and education turned into a revolution.
It's very important that those who come after, that they know the importance and the role that Shirley Chisholm played.
A legacy of standing up to injustice, galvanizing generations.
I'm pushing more for all my women to just embrace their natural beauty.
And for so many, their work is just getting started.
We are going to be a great generation. From today to tomorrow, we dream a world.
This is a PIX-11 news special, honoring Black history, inspiring the future.
Thank you for joining us for this PIX-11 special, honoring Black history, inspiring the future. I'm Erin E. LeBeau.
And I'm Kendis Gibson. Black History Month is a time to honor African-American trailblazers who broke barriers and paved the way for future generations.
Yeah, these pioneers bravely fought for justice, equality, and the elevation of Black communities. Decades later, the fight continues with changemakers of all ages at the front lines, including 15-year-old Yolanda Renee King, the only granddaughter of civil rights icon Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah, Dr. King's activism and leadership helped change the world. But there are other unsung heroes whose groundbreaking contributions have gone unnoticed until now. For instance, America's first Black generals. They're actually a father and son.
Yeah, Calorama shows us how the duo helped integrate the U.S. military and how their accomplishments continue to impact us today.
The Invisible Generals were the first two Black generals in American history. They were a father and a son with the same name, General Benjamin O. Davis Sr. and Benjamin O. Davis Jr.
These two men worked under 13 different presidential administrations, not only breaking barriers in the military, but impacting American policy itself. Ben Davis Jr. never had biological children of his own, but raised Doug Melville's father as his own son. Melville making it his mission to share his family legacy. Ben Davis Jr. was the first Black graduate of the 20th century at West Point. But during his 4 years on campus, he never had a roommate and ate meals in solitary silence. Despite graduating in the top 20% of his class, he continually faced racism and discrimination. Now, 85 years later, these West Point barracks bear his name. Not only did Ben Davis Jr. open the skies to Black aviators, he helped pass the bill allowing women cadets into the Air Force Academy. After his retirement from the military in 1970, the Pentagon called, asking for his help to create safer skies. His suggestion? Commercial airport security, which would lead to the creation of what we now know as the TSA. Davis also initiating the Sky Marshal program.
Trained 4,000 officers to go undercover to keep commercial flights safe. It worked so well under Nixon. Carter brought him on and said, how can we do the same thing for traffic? And he created the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit, which was the maximum speed limit to optimize gas usage as well as keep people safe.
25 years ago, President Bill Clinton nominated Davis for appointment as a 4-star general, where he garnered support across party lines.
He wasn't elevated to 4th star under LBJ due to race. So Bill Clinton then elevated him in 1998 with 10 years of lobbying from Senator John McCain.
Melville's family legacy impacting his own career path.
I want to make sure that I tell this story to the world, and also I changed my profession to become a diversity officer to make sure companies also don't allow people to operate in a cloak of invisibility.
Deep in the heart of central Brooklyn, construction is ahead of schedule on a new $141 million recreation center. The building is named after Shirley Chisholm, who in 1968 became the first Black woman elected to Congress.
In 1972, she also became the first Black woman to run for a major party's presidential nomination. Jay Dow shares the impactful story that's inspiring the future.
Deep in the heart of central Brooklyn, construction is ahead of schedule on a new $140 million recreation center, named for a trailblazing woman who was ahead of her time.
My presence before you now symbolizes a new era in American political history.
Shirley Chisholm would have turned 100 this year. She was the first black woman elected to Congress and the first black major party candidate to run for the highest office in the land. Family friend Yolanda Lazama Clark recently spoke with us in the home on St. John's Place that her father purchased from Chisholm and her husband in the early 70s.
It's very important that those who come after, that they know the importance and the role that Shirley Chisholm played in this country.
The Reverend Al Sharpton caught that spark while volunteering as a teenager during Chisholm's inspired but unsuccessful 1972 presidential campaign.
And she said, Alfred, there's a price you pay if you're going to try and break through. We have to pay this price.
Mayor Eric Adams led a coalition of elected officials who celebrated Miss C's legacy during the rec center's groundbreaking last fall.
The energy and spirit of Shirley Chisholm is looking down and realizing how proud she is to see the seeds that she planted.
National stats show that more than 60% of black boys and girls do not know how to swim. So it's indeed a big deal that this new rec center is going to bring the first municipal pool to Central Brooklyn.
City Councilwoman Farrah Lewis and City Public Advocate Jamani Williams both played an instrumental role in securing funding for the center, named after one of their personal sheroes.
So having a center like this, it does provide something that just wasn't there.
It's important for us to create a pathway for young people to get the education they need, the support they need.
And the confidence to strive to the level of excellence that Shirley Chisholm achieved while being unbought and unbossed.
When we return, we head to Harlem, where 4 black-owned eateries are being recognized on a national level.
I feel just grateful. I feel very humbled.
What the prestigious culinary honor means to them and how they're transforming their community's food scene.
It's called the Oscars of Food. The James Beard Award semifinalist list is out. And while New York City has always done well, this year, one neighborhood has a notably high number of eateries on the list. Harlem.
Yeah, and all those Harlem restaurants are owned by black entrepreneurs. James Ford spoke with some of them.
What sizes are we doing in the carrot and the chocolate?
This is what it's been like every day for Aaliyah Baylor for 28 years.
No, I need the ladle.
That's how long she's been developing Make My Cake Bakery. From her family's apartment in Harlem to a full-service bakery and coffee shop. And now, all the hard work
has become a signature item.
Is being recognized worldwide.
I feel just grateful. I feel grateful. I feel very humble. My friends think I think I'm too humble. My customers have celebrated. What a day, what a day.
Her customers and Baylor herself respond to being named a semifinalist for the most prestigious American culinary honor, the James Beard Award, issued this week. Make My Cake was one of 4 Harlem establishments to make the list. Another one? 123, 124 steps to Charles Pan Fried Chicken from Make My Cake. Charles Pan Fried Chicken made the James Beard list for Best Chef, as did Field Trip, the rice bowl-focused eatery. All these Harlem honorees are black-owned businesses pleased that the critics found them.
The food scene in Harlem has always stood out. There is a layer of businesses. My girl Melba, who has stood out for many accolades over the years.
Hi, I'm Melba, born, bred, and buttered right here in the village of Harlem.
Melba Wilson founded the restaurant she gave her name to 20 years ago. Back then,
there were me and the Chinese takeout spot.
She started a trend that's made Frederick Douglass Boulevard a destination.
Now that this is considered Restaurant Row, we actually feed off of each other.
Interactivity among restaurants and among guests treated like family, she says, is what black culture is about, and that the world-renowned awards jury now affirms.
That we have a voice. We have a place. What we say matters.
Creating a safe space for people of color with textured hair.
Walking into a salon for a woman with textured hair can be the most scariest thing you do.
The push to create more inclusive salons and a new law that would impact all cosmetology schools in New York. This spring, New York State beauty schools will be required to include more training for textured hair like this. It's part of a long-running push for equity focused on ensuring all stylists, regardless of their race, know how to care for every kink, curl, or coil. I spoke with one salon owner about the impact this could have.
Out with the old and with the new.
It's often said that a woman's hair is her crowning glory.
Her goal is to grow her afro out as large as we can get it. So in order to do that, we have to get rid of the split ends so that healthy hair can push through.
For Mark McDonald, that glory comes from helping women rock their natural hair. He's a senior stylist at H2 Salon in Bedside, Brooklyn.
I'm pushing more for all my women to just embrace their natural beauty, because you are beautiful the way God made you.
So Malika wears her hair naturally curly. She has beautiful, beautiful hair. She has kinky hair.
Salon owner Daily Green says getting to the point where natural hair becomes the norm hasn't been easy, even when it comes to finding stylists for her salon.
It's super challenging when trying to hire somebody and they know very little about natural hair except for maybe a paragraph or two out of a textbook.
She and others are hoping that will change. A new law in New York State is requiring cosmetology schools to make natural hair and textured hair part of their curriculum. That would include educating students on different hair types and testing them, something Mark says wasn't the case when he was in school.
Most of the mannequins that we had to bring in required us to do pin curls, finger waves, tease sets, teasing the hair, back combing, things that you would see like on The Nanny.
According to the Senate Bill 6528A, which is now law, regardless of a person's race or ethnicity, graduates from all New York State cosmetology schools should have the ability to provide styling and hair care services to individuals with all hair types and textures. Daly admits education is important.
A lot of times somebody will see a woman with this type of hair texture and automatically think that her hair needs a whole lot of coercion and it's rough and it's tumble and it can take anything. But in all actuality, Malika's hair is the most fragile hair.
While she's optimistic about the new law, she also has some reservations.
I think that it's been long overdue. I'm excited about it. I think it's transformative, but I'm also apprehensive about how it'll affect our industry.
But both agree the new law is a step in the right direction. But they also know much more is needed to make sure everyone can walk into a salon and know they are in good hands.
Hair is hair, whether it's kinky, curly, wavy, straight, coarse, fine, thin. It's all hair, and everyone should know how to do a variety of textures of hair.
She turned down a full college scholarship to chase her dreams.
Hopefully it inspires other people.
Meet the first Black woman to become a pilot for the NYPD. NYPD pilot is breaking barriers. She's the first African-American woman to become a pilot for the department. She tells our Nicole Johnson how her love of flying and encouragement from her father led to this history-making moment.
A sky-high dream come true for police officer Jillian Ludwig. And she's making history at the same time, soaring through barriers as the first Black woman pilot for the NYPD. You can find Officer Ludwig on patrol, not on the streets, but in the sky, at the controls with a bird's eye view of what's happening. And when there is an emergency,
if somebody's stuck in the water, they fly out there and go rescue them.
At the tender age of 13, Ludwig started learning how to fly airplanes. She always had her mind set on flying and watching her father's journey in the NYPD as an ESU detective, rescuing people was inspirational.
I've always liked to help people, but also seeing my dad. My dad's retired from ESU, and just seeing him, wear the uniform and do something that I really like to do, I just gravitated towards it.
So after years of training, putting in tremendous hours, flying privately, and then learning the inner workings of a helicopter, all of her hard work and determination paid off.
I'm very happy and I'm very proud of her because she did make a lot of sacrifices.
She turned down a full scholarship and kept her eyes on the sky. During the height of the pandemic, she became a police officer, walking the beat in the Bronx. A few years later, she received the opportunity of a lifetime. She was armed with skills and her father's words of encouragement.
Understand that if you're good at your job, no matter what you do, if there are barriers, you're going to break them down slowly.
That's exactly what she's doing, working under Inspector Winston Faison, the commanding officer of the aviation unit, who is also a trailblazer.
I told her, this is bigger than her. So she represents a lot. I know it's a lot of pressure, but she's a symbol.
Officer Ludwig flew us over Brooklyn. She's poised, level-headed, and highly trained.
I'm learning how to do the specific maneuvers and stuff like that in that helicopter.
And flying runs in the family. Her great-great-uncle, Dr. A. Porter Davis, was the first African-American to ever receive a pilot's license. He, too, was an aviation pioneer.
Hopefully it inspires other people who have a dream, they want to be a pilot, or maybe they want to join the NYPD.
Still ahead, taking up the torch.
He left us behind homework, and I feel like we've been procrastinating.
Meet the only grandchild of civil rights activist Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and learn how she's continuing his mission.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. inspired millions before he was assassinated at the age of 39. Well, now his only granddaughter aims to continue his work.
Yolanda Renee King, just 15, has released a new picture book, We Dream a World. It's a tribute to her celebrated grandparents. Donna Terrell caught up with Yolanda at Spelman College in Atlanta.
I am ready to keep my eyes on the prize that you set out before us with the power of your vision.
Words lifted off the page from the only grandchild of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as Yolanda Renee King reads from her new picture book, We Dream a World.
Yes, Grandma Coretta. Yes, Granddaddy Martin. I am ready.
She calls it a letter to her celebrated grandparents.
Let's talk about the book. What inspired it?
Well, I think that for a very long time, we've needed a message to the world of what type of world we can have. And I think that if you look at movements, it's led by young people.
This socially engaged 15-year-old
If I could speak to my grandfather today,
has been sharing her message to large crowds for years, including the one here with her mom and dad, Martin Luther King III, at the March on Washington.
I see you've been giving a lot of speeches. You like doing that?
So funny that you asked, because actually, if you ask my parents, I've always loved talking. I've always had something to say.
And she's saying it with passion.
I'm 14 years old, and I'm just getting started.
And conviction, speaking last year at an MLK program at Clemson University, taking on tough issues like homelessness and violence.
I know it is my duty as an American to use the platform given to me by my grandparents' sacrifices to uplift the voices of my peers.
I think I've always had a concern about these issues, and I've always heard his speeches playing around the house.
This young change maker says in her granddad's speeches and books are the answers to reimagine his dream.
He left us behind homework, and I feel like we've been procrastinating on that homework.
Andrea Waters King uses her wisdom to support her daughter. She recalls a reporter asking Yolanda if she wanted to pattern herself after Dr. King.
She thought about it for a few seconds and she quickly said, yes, I do, because those footsteps are important, but I want to make my own footsteps.
The book, a continuation of Yolanda's calling.
She described herself as like having an itch, that you just have to scratch.
I feel like I have an obligation to continue the work that he didn't quite get to, that he didn't get to reach.
We are going to be a great generation.
Yolanda Renee King never met her grandparents, but says she feels their spirit every day.
Thank you for joining us for this PIX-11 special honoring Black history, inspiring the future. I'm Erin E. LeBeau.
I'm Candace Gibson. Have a great night.
Honoring Black history, inspiring the future. Presented by Popeyes.